Tonight, breaking news, the stunning arrest in a notorious serial murder case. Police arresting a suspect in the killings of 3 women on New York's Long Island more than a decade ago. The Gilgo Beach murders. How they tracked the suspect, a Manhattan architect who was also a husband and father. The exclusive video NBC has obtained of the suspect, plus the evidence prosecutors say helped identify him, including DNA from a pizza crust. Will he be implicated in the murders of more victims? Also breaking tonight, the new surveillance. Signs of an escaped murder suspect caught on video, plus the supplies found in the woods. The search is on. The searing, dangerous heat about to get worse. At least 85 million Americans under heat alerts across the country. More triple-digit temps on the way. And as we found, no relief even at the beach in Miami. Thousands of actors on strike. The major stars speaking out tonight, refusing to work in protest. How long the strike could last, and the ripple effect on so many others, plus what it could mean for all of your favorite shows. The controversial new barrier at the border right on the river, and the lawsuit to stop it. What do we know about UFOs? Top senators tonight calling on the government to finally come clean. And it's Messi mania here in Miami, days before a new kickoff for the soccer superstar.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
And good evening. I'm Tom Llamas in for Lester, reporting tonight from one of the hottest places in the country, Miami, where brutal heat has gripped the city for weeks. The feels like here today, 102. It's a type of heat so many Americans are experiencing this week, as you'll see later in the broadcast. But we want to begin right now with that breaking news out of New York. The arrest of a suspected serial killer, thought to have murdered at least 3 women on Long Island more than a decade ago. They came to be known as the Gilgo Beach murders. And tonight we're learning how authorities say they were able to track down the suspect, a 59-year-old architect who is also a husband and a father. Police say they found him by looking at his phones, that he allegedly was Googling the victims, their family members, and updates on the investigation. Police saying they even took DNA from a discarded pizza crust. The suspect pleading not guilty late today to murder charges, and it's where we begin tonight with Emily Aketa.
Rex, did you do it?
Handcuffed and flanked by authorities, Rex Heuermann taken to a Long Island courthouse today in a case that has confounded investigators for more than a decade.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
Victims' families tearful as authorities announced the 59-year-old father and husband was charged with first and second-degree murder of 3 women, Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Their remains discovered within a quarter-mile stretch near Gilgo Beach back in 2010. In all, 11 bodies were recovered in that area during sweeping search efforts, sending a wave of fear over Long Island residents.
I know there's a community out there that, as the facts unfold, will be sleeping a lot easier tonight.
After following him through the city last night, captured on this surveillance video, today investigators searching Heuermann's Manhattan architecture firm and home in Massapequa Park, New York. Key evidence accumulating this year, including the recent discovery of his Chevrolet Avalanche towed from his property today. A witness to one of the victims' disappearance had described that vehicle according to court documents. Police say Heuermann was also tied to burner phones, seen here loading more minutes onto the device. And authorities pulled his DNA from pizza crusts tossed in a Manhattan trash can. Neighbors on Long Island stunned to learn of the suspected serial killer living next door.
The guy's been quiet, never really bothers anybody. You were kind of shocked, to tell you the truth.
But tonight, authorities say the investigation is not over.
The work is not done here, but this is a major step forward.
Jessica Taylor's remains were discovered in 2011. Heuermann is not charged with her murder today, but her cousin hopes this arrest will bring answers.
I'm hopeful for the future, and I'm hopeful that a connection is made.
All right, Emily Aketa joins us tonight live from Long Island. And Emily, is the suspect commenting tonight?
Well, Tom, his lawyer says that Heuermann broke down in tears and insisted on his innocence. He's now being held without bail behind me on those murder charges. And, Tom, investigators say that he is the prime suspect in another death, too. The district attorney calling this a watershed moment. Tom?
All right, Emily Aketa leading us off tonight with some new reporting right there. Emily, we appreciate it. Also tonight, a possible first sighting on video of that escaped murder suspect out of Pennsylvania. State police believe this video from a home surveillance system, you see it right here, shows Michael Burham heading towards the woods. They also found supplies that may have been his. He escaped from jail by lowering himself with bed sheets tied into a rope. Now here to Miami, one of so many cities suffering through this life-threatening coast-to-coast heat wave. Temperatures right here in the triple digits showing no sign of ending. We saw for ourselves today just how intense it really is. Tonight, no relief from this summer of scorching temps. Day after day, record after record, shattered as heat blankets the country.
It's really crazy. You can't even go outside really without feeling like you're going to pass out.
85 million under heat alerts.
Very, very hot. I could not expect it to be so hot, to be honest.
Here in sweltering Miami, it's day 34 in a row with a heat index over 100 degrees. And the sand is so hot here on Miami Beach, you can only really be barefoot in the surf. You try to walk on that dry sand, you're going to burn your toes. And when you try to cool off in the ocean, good luck. The water is now the hottest it's been in years. Have you ever seen anything like this heat?
No, the continuation of the heat, as long as it's been, we haven't seen that in a long, long time.
Jason Casanova is a division chief with Miami Beach Ocean Rescue, keeping an eye on swimmers and especially now, sunbathers. When you're scanning the beach for heat exhaustion, what are you looking for?
We're looking for people acting not normal, people like kind of stumbling, kind of a little bit woozy, stuff like that.
Miami-Dade Fire Rescue say there's an uptick of 911 calls.
We're used to the heat, but lately it's just been unprecedented.
The heat making their jobs even more challenging. With that suit on, what does it feel like?
Easily add another 40, 50, 60
Another
degrees.
40 or 50 degrees hotter.
Easily, yes.
It's the biggest banking crisis since 2008. Three banks.
Brutal heat stretching from South Florida all the way to the Pacific Northwest.
The more sunshine we get, the hotter it's going to be.
In Texas, it is so hot, it hurts to touch the steering wheel. Officials there closely monitoring the vulnerable power grid with demand for power hitting a record for the second day in a row. While Oklahoma hitting its highest ever heat index on Thursday, 126 degrees. And Phoenix clocking more than 2 weeks of temps above 110. In Las Vegas, volunteers were out early, going to homeless camps, passing out much-needed supplies.
In this kind of heat, people die. So we are out here trying to make sure that folks get water, they get support.
The danger will continue through the weekend when Sin City could hit its hottest temperature ever. While cross-country, waterlogged Vermont will also remain on alert through Sunday with still more rain forecasted in a region that's only just begun to clean up from historic flooding, as this summer of weather extremes shows no signs of letting up. And the heat is here to stay, and the temperature is also rising out in Hollywood, where the actors' strike has shut down film and TV production, with the actors now joining writers on picket lines and casting uncertainty on so many films and TV programs. Dana Griffin reports.
On strike, shut it down. Tonight, massive picket lines from coast to coast as Hollywood grinds to a screeching halt.
We are here to protect every single member in every category.
I just think it's a battle worth fighting.
Actors now united with writers striking after contract negotiations collapsed, demanding higher pay and AI protections. The AMPTP, which represents Hollywood studios, including NBC Universal, saying, "We are deeply disappointed that SAG-AFTRA has decided to walk away from negotiations."
This strike is really going to shut down every piece of production in Hollywood.
Actors won't be filming movies or hit shows like American Horror Story. They're also prohibited from doing voice work or promoting any projects.
Everyone who works on a movie or TV set, everyone who's involved in catering, makeup, and production, every one of these people is going to be out of work right now.
The broader economic impact estimated to be in the billions, all designed to put pressure on Hollywood studios to come back to the negotiating table.
You are not serious people.
Like his character on Succession, star Brian Cox is defiant.
It's a situation which really could get very, very unpleasant
They'll take us to the brink, and we will probably have to go to the brink.
This Hollywood drama, playing out in real life, could drag on for months.
And Dana, one of the big questions tonight, of course, how will this impact viewers? Should we expect to see more reruns?
If a deal is not reached, this could impact fall TV. You're likely to see more reality TV productions and stars not on the red carpet. In fact, Universal Pictures announcing they are canceling their red carpet for the U.S. premiere of Oppenheimer. Tom?
Dana Griffin from Los Angeles for us. Dana, we appreciate that. Now to a new battle in the culture war playing out in Washington and impacting the top leadership of the U.S. military. So much so, President Biden says it's putting U.S. security at risk. Kristen Welker has this one.
Tonight, the U.S. military in limbo as Air Force General Charles Brown Jr., President Biden's nominee to be the next chair of the Joint Chiefs, remains blocked from a confirmation vote. Waiting along with him is General Eric Smith, nominee for Commandant of the Marine Corps, now working in an acting capacity. They're just two of the 265 key military nominations unconfirmed, unable to get a vote in the Senate, held up for months by Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, who is staging a one-man blockade over the Pentagon's policy on reproductive care.
I'm standing up for the Constitution and the unborn.
It's a culture war with the U.S. military caught in the crosshairs. Senator Tuberville spoke with the defense secretary this week, but hasn't spoken with the president.
He's jeopardizing U.S. security by what he's doing. I expect the Republican Party to stand up, and do something.
And while GOP leaders have pushed back on Tuberville, today, the Republican-led House passing a critical annual defense bill by a slim margin, and only after attaching amendments that would ban the Pentagon from reimbursing troops who travel out of state for an abortion or for transgender surgeries and hormone treatments, and prohibiting funds for diversity programs.
A military cannot defend themselves if you train them in woke.
Whether you're talking about women, whether you're talking about trans people, this bill says that we're going to make it more difficult for you to get a fair shake in the military.
Tensions flared Thursday when Arizona Republican Congressman Eli Crane used racist language.
My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin.
Crane later saying he misspoke after a backlash, including from his fellow Republicans. Meanwhile, in Tuberville's Alabama, a disabled vet reacting to how the military is being used as a political pawn.
Knowing this now, there is no way I would join the military.
As for the defense bill, it stands no chance of passing in the Democratic-led Senate, setting up a potential showdown ahead of the September deadline. Tom.
Kristen, thank you for that. In the battle for the Republican presidential nomination, the first contest is just 6 months from tomorrow in Iowa. Many of the candidates were campaigning there today, though, as Dasha Burns reports, there was one very notable exception.
6 months from the first in the nation Iowa caucuses, Republican presidential candidates today making their pitch to evangelical voters. Candidate after candidate sitting down with former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson, except for the frontrunner. USA! USA! Former President Donald Trump skipping the event amid a feud with Iowa's popular governor Kim Reynolds, who says she's staying neutral in the race.
I hate to say it, without me, you know she was not going to win. You know that, right?
Trump's attack on Reynolds not landing well in the Hawkeye state.
How worried should Donald Trump be about Iowa?
I think he should be very concerned.
Evangelical leader Bob Vanderplaats hosted today's summit. He's not yet endorsed, but is known for backing winners in Iowa, from Huckabee to Santorum to Cruz. And while they didn't become the party nominee, Vanderplaats says this time Iowa is essential.
If one of these other candidates prove that they are the alternative to Trump and they're capturing the imagination and the inspiration of Iowans and Americans, and they beat Trump here, I think now you change the narrative.
It's why Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is doing all he can to assure nervous donors in a confidential memo obtained by NBC News, laying out his path forward, including a strong commitment to early states. At a nondescript office park in West Des Moines, paid DeSantis canvassers from around the country are put through 8 days of training.
Hello. Hi there. Hi.
Part of a $100 million effort from a pro-DeSantis super PAC.
How did the training here compare to what you've had before?
Oh my gosh, this is
on a different level for the training.
Meanwhile, Governor Reynolds signed the state's new 6-week abortion ban to much fanfare here, putting the issue front and center in the Republican race. Tom?
Dasha Burns from the campaign trail tonight. Dasha, we appreciate it. In 60 seconds, the battle over a newly revealed border barrier across the Rio Grande. Is it too dangerous? Next.
My store, my design business, we're exploding. But my
Welcome back. Now to Texas, where in an effort to stop illegal border crossings, the governor is turning to a controversial new barrier that's now sparking a court battle. Priscilla Thompson is there.
Hundreds of bright orange buoys running right down the middle of the Rio Grande that divides Mexico and Eagle Pass, Texas. The barrier, part of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's multi-billion-dollar border security program. Abbott argues the federal government has not done enough to stop migrants.
How exactly will the buoys work?
Well, just like a border wall.
The Texas Department of Public Safety telling us they'll be an effective deterrent against illegal border crossings, which are still high, though down recently from record levels. Migrant advocates worry the buoys could lead to more drownings. They rotate, preventing anyone from climbing over them, and extend at least a foot underwater.
It's clearly visible from Mexico, so for anyone to even think about crossing a river, knowing that all that infrastructure is in place, well, they're risking their lives. I was disgusted.
But Jesse Fuentes, who leads canoeing and kayaking excursions on the river, tells us the buoys are a nightmare. Already, he says parties have canceled and excursions put on hold because of the buoy installation.
We look like a community under siege, you know, and it shouldn't be that way.
Now he's suing the governor and the state, alleging imminent and irreparable harm to the business he's run since 2015.
I feel like I'm stepping into a turf war because it's federal agency versus the state agency.
And Eagle Pass is caught in the middle.
And we're caught in the middle. And we're sinking.
Governor Greg Abbott responded to that lawsuit saying this is going to the Supreme Court. Texas has a constitutional right to secure our border. Tom?
Okay, Priscilla, we thank you for that. Next, inside the powerful push for the government to tell us what they really know about UFOs. We're back now with a push in Congress tonight to force the government to tell you what it knows about UFOs and any visitors from worlds beyond our own. Here's Gotti Schwartz.
It's a familiar UFO story, but this time with a very different twist. Congress is listening closely to otherworldly claims about the U.S. having recovered alien craft.
When you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
That's former high-ranking intelligence officer David Grush telling News Nation he is blowing the whistle on a government cover-up going back over a half a century, but admitting he has not seen any craft or bodies. But all the UFO hype, enough to prompt Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to propose new legislation that would set a 300-day deadline for agencies to find any records and turn them over to a review board that could declassify them.
Either they're telling the truth, and that is something that obviously would be the biggest story in human history, or we have people in really important positions of government who are crazy.
Now, the Pentagon has denied those claims that you heard, and Grush has denied our request to interview him, saying he won't talk until after he testifies in front of Congress. That could happen within the month. All of this, a very bizarre story, but one that seems to be headed to Capitol Hill. Tom, back to you.
All right, if the truth is out there, Gotti, we know you will find it. Up next, Messi Mania. A soccer superstar comes to Miami. How he could change the city and the game. We'll explain. Finally tonight, the only thing hotter in Miami right now than the weather is its newest resident. He's one of the most famous athletes in the world, but it's what he can do with a soccer ball that many here believe will change this city and maybe even give America a new pastime.
In Miami, it seems everyone has a case of Messi fever.
Bienvenido Messi a Miami.
Can't wait to see him. I'm just, I'm a little excited. If I see him, I'd be on the floor.
Soccer superstar Lionel Messi now just days away from making his debut with Major League Soccer team Inter Miami, sending ticket sales and anticipation soaring.
We can't wait for him to come here.
One of the greatest to ever play the game. Last year, Messi and his goal-making kicks led Argentina to a World Cup win.
Welcome to Miami.
Now, he's quickly becoming the face of Miami. Check out the wall of Argentinian restaurant Fiorito.
How big of a moment is this?
Huge. For us, it's like Michael Jordan is coming to town type of thing.
Messi specials are showing up on menus, and there's even a Messi beer, which I tried with superfan Bill Barlow.
Messi beer, not bad. He's the type of athlete that could put soccer finally on the map in America.
For sure. There's just no words to describe what somebody like Messi coming to MLS, coming to America, coming to Inter Miami, there's just no words to describe how big that is.
So many wanting a piece of this moment, it's even boosting real estate.
It totally help business.
As for Messi, he's quickly becoming a Florida man. Spotted at popular grocery store Publix Thursday night ahead of an official introduction this weekend.
If that was Messi right now, what would you tell him?
Thank you so much for everything, man.
Messi in Miami. We are so happy we could mark this moment. That's Nightly News for this Friday. I'm Tom Llamas reporting from Miami tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend.